Hello and welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 451, recorded February 24th, 2024. My name is Mac Jackson Jr. I am a professor at a leading university, and I am dedicated to bringing you information on cybersecurity and navigate you through our digital landscape. So gear up, folks, and we have a thrill ride for you again in this week's episode of Cybersecurity Awareness Tips, news that you could use to protect yourself from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century. Remember, folks, to share, like, and subscribe by hitting the subscription button at the bottom. Really appreciate that. You can find more about my show by going to MacJacksonJr.com. That's MacJacksonJR.com to find more about my cybersecurity products and services. Protect your business and your family. In today's episode, our first segment, folks, can you believe it? There has been 74,000 customers lost their services from AT&T this week. We're going to talk about that. And did it affect you? Can you hear me now, as they say, right? In our second segment, we're going to talk about the big scam that's going on. The FBI warns all consumers to be cautious of this new scam relating to gift cards. That's right, folks, gift card scams. Definitely something that you need to pay attention to. But in our first segment, in a recent statement by AT&T extending a heartfelt apology to customers following significant power shortage and outlet to their services, the telecommunications giant clarified that the disruption was not, we're not a result of a cyber threat. We're still investigating it, but they're saying it wasn't so far. So we're going to take them as their word for it for now. Addressing the concerns speculating about what is going on with their users and stakeholders, AT&T suggested. This incident serves as a pivotal reminder of the unprecedented nature and how artificial disasters underscores the critical importance of preparedness in today's digital dependency in our world today. At Cybersecurity Awareness TV, we've always talked about the practice of being prepared for these types of threats that can affect all of us, from cybersecurity to natural disasters. Being prepared is our mission here at Cybersecurity Awareness TV. And folks, to emphasize what's going on with the AT&T recent disaster, I have prepared a story for you I'd like you to take a look at. Check out our story from the news source called The Hill.
Can you hear me now? No? Tens of thousands of AT&T and Verizon customers across the nation yesterday were in for a rude surprise when they were unable to get any service through the network for hours yesterday in an event that the federal government is now investigating. The outages started popping up just before 3:30 a.m. Eastern, spiking at more than 73,000 just after 9 a.m. The outages were mostly concentrated in the Houston, Atlanta, Miami, and Chicago metro areas, but affected customers across the country.
But the question on many Americans' minds, what caused the mass outages? Was this a terror attack by the Russians, a mass solar flare, an overeager beaver chewing on a power line? None of those, in fact, just good old human error. AT&T blamed bad code as the culprit for the almost apocalyptic level of service outages, writing on their website, quote, "Based on our initial review, we believe that today's outage was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, not a cyber attack. We are continuing our assessment of today's outage to ensure we keep delivering the service that our customers deserve." So 12 hours is a really long time for an outage, Amber. I think about all of the people reportedly calling 911 just to see if their calls went through. 74,000 people reported that, their service was out. I'm sure a lot of other people didn't report, but just went online, went on Twitter to see if they were the only ones and discovered this was an AT&T wide outage. A very scary thing, especially when we know cybersecurity is not something that our military has been investing in as much compared to other militaries.
Yeah, and this is not the first time that we've had cases where cyber attacks have taken place against key American industries. A couple of years ago, there were attacks on our shipping industry, on our trains, and so it's not out of the question to think that this could potentially happen to our mobile carriers, the way that most people communicate nowadays. I gotta say, this whole scenario is making the doomsday preppers seem more and more sane by the day. I feel that way increasingly recently. And I'm also thinking twice now about making fun of my husband for wanting us to have a landline phone. Maybe he's right. I mean, when you're in a situation where so much of your ability to communicate with other people is down, especially in an emergency situation, I imagine there were people who were actually trying to get through to 911 because they had legitimate reasons to call them outside of just their phones being down, and not being able to get through is obviously a serious problem. And even just in terms of daily communication, I mean, it's such a huge part of our lives now that to think a coding error could have destroyed that ability for so many Americans is incredibly concerning. And I think also raises questions about the monopoly, I guess you could say, that a few wireless carriers really have on the ability of Americans to communicate via phone, text, internet, what have you. When one of them goes down or one of them becomes the victim of a cyber attack, it makes it that much easier to disrupt service for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans. It becomes very quickly a national crisis.
I'm very curious if the result of this is going to be a bunch of people switching networks from AT&T to another service provider. I was just scrolling through what people were saying who are AT&T customers on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. And a lot of people were saying that they were on the phone with customer service. Of course, once they got service back, asking about what they would get in return. Can they have vouchers? One guy asked for a $1,000 voucher. And if he didn't get it, he said he was going to switch his service. And then the customer service agent, according to him, was giving him advice about how to switch providers. So I don't know what AT&T's response is. Certainly not $1,000 per customer that experienced this outage. But I think it does evoke a certain kind of fear. We had the Houthi rebels reportedly sharing a map on Telegram of the undersea cables at the bottom of the ocean that give us internet access. 17% of the world depends on these cables that pass through the Red Sea. And I think there's a lot of things that we realize when we get reporting like this, that the infrastructure we depend on for our largely online world and communication that spans, regions that it didn't just 50 years ago. It's very scary realizing how fragile that infrastructure really is.
Yeah, and if I may bring up an analogy, this kind of reminds me of the situation that we're in with our energy supply as well, right? Because we really rely on foreign countries for most of our natural gas and our oil at this point. We don't produce as much domestically as we did even just a few years ago. And unfortunately, when we rely on other countries for that energy, then we are susceptible to global events in a way that we might not be if we had more of an independent ability to produce energy. I mean, look at what happened with the Nord Stream pipeline, right? Or when there are wars in the Middle East, all of a sudden Americans are relying on a very volatile industry, very volatile countries in order to get their energy, and it ends up making costs extremely high for everyday Americans. And I think it's a similar situation with our communication ability, whether that's internet, phone service, what have you. It raises a lot of questions about the national security implications of offshoring a lot of our things that we rely on for our daily lives, and even also the national security concerns of allowing just a handful of people to control those industries.
I think that's huge, right? Just the fact that so many people were affected by one company going down speaks to the oligopoly we have in so many industries in the United States, from, the shortages around formula for babies to now the AT&T shortage. I think people are realizing that puts everyone living within our economic system at risk when we have the industry consolidated into a few major corporations. And the fact that we have a global economy should theoretically mean that any kind of attack on a country's economy, whether it's attacking shipping, the supply chain, or attacking our internet service, which is something that our economy depends on. A lot of people are working from home. A lot of business is done online these days. That does affect our economy. Theoretically, with a global economy, people's markets or different countries' markets are so intertwined that, harming one country will affect the people in another. And in the case of Russia, we're currently considering sanctions following the death of Navalny. And when we look back on the sanctions we placed on Russia when they initially invaded Ukraine, we had the ruble go down immediately. It was, 120 to the dollar before February 27th. Then it went down to 72 to the dollar. And then Putin said, hey, okay, there's sanctions on me. But my response is unfriendly countries now must pay for Russian gas in rubles in our currency. And within a month, European countries were paying for Russian gas in rubles, and they still are to this day. So, to some degree, when we're sanctioning Russia, we're making them stronger. So, this idea that we're not all connected to some degree is not true, but there are certain things that, affect our economy that don't affect theirs. So, if they were to take out our internet, fine. But if we were to sanction Russian gas, that's something we're all interconnected, and Europe greatly depends on Russian gas. They're a part of NATO. So it's getting very complicated. But I think, cybersecurity is a way for them to attack us kind of covertly, not directly. And it's probably difficult to prove that they've even done it in the first place.
Yeah, it's a good point about the Russian sanctions. I remember that Germany in particular was increasingly dependent on Russian oil because they had decided to start making their transition over to green energy. And they basically had to either delay plans or pay a lot more for their energy from Russia because of this issue with the Ukrainian war. So that's a good point, and one that definitely rings true. And we'll continue to follow what happened with this AT&T outage. A lot of conspiracy theories about it. Maybe we'll get to the bottom of it.
So, folks, I attempted to gather information about this recent AT&T outage, but encountered restrictions to access to specific sources likely to obtain more detail. But despite this concern, information that's out there about this telecommunications giant definitely is something we all should be concerned with. And I also would recommend everyone to stay tuned, but also be prepared. It's not just AT&T. It could have been any other service like Verizon, T-Mobile, or any of them could have gone to this so-called issue that have happened based on maybe hardware, or maybe it was just a bad piece of equipment, as they're saying. But we're still investigating what caused it and making sure that it doesn't happen again. But as individuals, what can you do? Well, you need to take a look at best practices. What do you do, folks? We talk about that a lot here in our show. Have a plan set up, a backup. If you lost your phone, we've talked about that on our show. Do you have a plan for that? Who do you contact if you lost your phone? Think about it. I have another story I'd like to share with you, emphasizing again the effect that have caused consumers across our nation regarding this. I've gotten calls from my clients on what to do. What is a cyber attack? Here's another story I'd like to share with you coming to us from the Today Show. Check this out.
Just 24 hours ago, users on one of the country's largest mobile networks were left unable to make even basic calls or send texts for half a day.
Is it the end of the world?
Apparently, the whole country doesn't have service. Like, what's going on?
I want to talk to the CEO. I'm so dang on sick of y'all.
AT&T now saying they believe the 12-hour issue, quote, was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, not a cyber attack. The company added it is further investigating the matter. Several government agencies said they're taking a look too, including Homeland Security, the Federal Communications Commission, and the FBI. Experts say most of the time, outages aren't malicious.
The FBI is going to be looking for any sort of criminal activity. However, 99.9% of the time, technical outages of this nature, whether it's with a power company, a telecommunications company, or even your bank, tend to be of a technical operational network.
Downdetector.com showed issues beginning Thursday at 4 a.m. Hours later, the count on reported problems had surged to over 70,000 as users tried to troubleshoot their phones.
That's the AT&T line that says emergency calls only, and there's no service.
Emergency services advising people to use landlines or even call boxes as workarounds. Around 3 p.m. Thursday, AT&T announced it had restored wireless service to all of its affected customers. That was too late for Conchinia Fowler in Greenville, South Carolina, who had no choice but to close her restaurant, Vegan House Shack, for the day.
Thursday is a big day for me. I lost a lot of money.
She uses AT&T to take the 20% of orders that come by phone and also uses a hotspot to process the card terminals she needs to process sales. Now Fowler says she's done.
Are you thinking this is crazy enough I might switch?
Oh, it's definitely a switch. Switch is definitely going to take place.
And a tip for those of you whose phones were stuck on SOS mode. When that happens, you can make an emergency call and ping your location to emergency services. On iPhones, they can also contact a loved one or family member designated as an emergency contact, which you have to set up. It's a good reminder if that situation from yesterday ever happens again, guys.
All right, Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
So, folks, the recent incident, AT&T, again shows that the significant impact on this telecommunication giant and all the numerous customers is a critical reminder of the vulnerabilities of our digital infrastructure. While AT&T confirms that this outage was not related to cyber attacks, the event underscores the importance of preparedness in any disasters, foreign or domestic or artificial. This episode here that we described to you folks is again something we all must be concerned with, individually and our organizations, to be prepared and have a practice in place. As part of our commitment here of Cybersecurity Awareness TV, we're stressing practice drills on this sort of precautions, right? Be prepared of these types of disasters for your family and your organizations. AT&T is a large company here in our United States and around the world, and all of the telecommunication companies, they are doing their best to make sure that they have practices, procedures in place to protect their infrastructure and correct protocols. If it can happen to a large corporation like AT&T, well, folks, it can happen to small individuals and organizations like yours. Be prepared. Cyber criminals are always trying to find ways to exploit. We don't know if this situation was something that affected AT&T, but you know by listening to our shows and other cybersecurity experts that hackers are always looking for vulnerabilities, right? Vulnerabilities in our infrastructure and a way to bring it down. Be prepared, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. We'll be back after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line and will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi folks, welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. My name is Mac Jackson Jr., your professor in cybersecurity landscape. In this segment, we're going to talk about a warning that the FBI warns consumers about gift card scams. Yes, folks, we're at it again, the gift card scams. The recent warning by the FBI about a surge in gift card scams underscores the undergrowing problem concerns in our digital economy. A striking case in Sacramento, California, where a man was found with over 5,000 gift cards exemplifies the sophistication of this type of fraud schemes. As reported by NBC News, which we'll show here in a minute, indicated that it reveals the complexity of webs designed around these victims and how these scams work. For example, retailers like CVS, Target, Walmart, they have gift cards that we all could purchase from, right? We go grab a gift card off and we buy it, we pay for it at the counter, and we give it to a friend. Hackers, and let's just say more criminals than hackers, are actually taking these gift cards and ripping off the seal in the back of it and actually taking the money from it. So when you buy it and pay for it, the money goes directly to them. Here's a story I want to share with you regarding this, coming to us from NBC News. Check this out.
organized, overseas, and ongoing. Those words describe a crime wave that targets U.S. gift cards. Our response team has spent the past few months investigating the scam.
Consumer investigator Chris Camaro followed the money with the FBI's help, and he's here with a new warning, a revealing behind-the-scenes look at the crime and ways you can try to protect your gift cards.
Good evening. Two things motivated us to dig into this. First, viewers like you sending us lots of complaints that gift card money is vanishing. Second, this photo. Those are all gift cards. Sheriff's deputies say they arrested one man who had 5,000 of them.
I don't want another person going through what I went through.
At the holidays, Isai's boss gave a generous gift, a $500 Target gift card.
So we're very excited, and I took my family out to Target and said, hey, here we have a new gift card. Let's go and purchase some things.
But at the register, Target declined the card.
They said that your balance is zero.
Same situation for Rena in San Ramon.
Had 2 engagement parties to go to and thought, what can I get for these kids? And so I just went to Target, picked up a couple gift cards.
One bride and groom-to-be said their $50 gift card was empty before they used it. So Rena asked the other bride-to-be to check her $50 card.
So she did, and it had a zero balance. So I'm like, uh-oh.
We don't know how Rena and Isai's Target gift card cash vanished, but we do know they are not alone. We fielded dozens of similar complaints, so have our NBC and Telemundo sister stations coast to coast. We also know Target is at the center of a major case quietly playing out in Sacramento. Back in December, sheriff's deputies arrested this man while they were on patrol for shoplifters inside a Target store. They say he was putting a stack of Target gift cards on the rack. When deputies searched his car, they found more than 5,000 Target gift cards.
For these particular cards, it appears that he was tampering with the sticky that covers the pen.
Deputy District Attorney Adrienne McMillan is prosecuting the man, Ning Ning's son, for various charges, including fraud.
The way that this is done is very sophisticated. The cards are taken without any sort of value on them. They're tampered with in a way that is not detectable, and then they're reshelved.
In court, McMillan is arguing that as soon as a shopper loaded money on a card that Son put back on the rack, either he or an associate could immediately steal that money. Prosecutors say Son went to lots of Targets as far away as Arkansas.
His phone records show that he is very mobile throughout California, throughout the United States.
After Son appeared in court recently, his court-appointed attorney took our questions. We asked why Son had all those gift cards.
What's the explanation for that?
Well, at this point, those are just something being in your possession does not automatically indicate some type of criminal behavior or that something illegal occurred.
Shortly after this interview, an LA attorney took over Son's defense and did not respond to us. The DA suspects Son worked with others.
It's a serious fraud case, and we want to take it seriously.
We asked Target about all of its drained gift cards. It told us we are actively addressing the problem. Our store teams regularly inspect cards for physical signs of tampering. The company noted gift card tampering is an industry-wide issue.
And this is a major problem.
Robert Tripp is the special agent in charge of the FBI field office in San Francisco. We had a revealing conversation dissecting how crooks compromise cards of all kinds and steal billions.
Unfortunately, there's a very well-developed secondary market for these gift card accounts. So a scammer can have a lot of these gift cards. They can dump them on the secondary market and get very untraceable cash. Very much an international issue.
Tripp said the thieves overseas consolidate and sell compromised card accounts online for less than face value. Ultimately, they lure a U.S. buyer who pays them cash for a discount card.
But that person is clueless. They A, bought a card with money on it stolen from someone else's account, and B, they basically just helped a crook launder the money on that card.
If that passes through 2, 3, 4 hands, it's virtually untraceable.
There's some irony in this scam. Where it starts, in stores, many chains are locking up everyday items like underwear, yet many gift cards are in the open.
Whether we recommend it or not, I imagine the day is coming when those cards will be locked up.
Until then, the FBI says you need to protect yourself. Only buy gift cards from behind a counter or in a locked case. Always look for tampering, like loose packaging or smudges on the card number, PIN, or barcode. And use the card fast, ideally faster than the thieves.
I would say a matter of 45 minutes to an hour. It was gone.
Finally, you can also consider Asai and Rena's new tact.
I'm hesitant actually to buy gift cards anymore until they can get this under control.
I usually go with safer ways of gifting because it was a nightmare.
If a scammer steals your gift card money, tell the FBI. Its Internet Crimes Complaint Center is online at ic3.gov. Special Agent Tripp says reporting small crimes might unravel a big criminal web. You can also let us know, though we don't have the power of subpoena like the feds do. Nonetheless, click the QR code on screen right now to fill out our consumer complaint form online.
So folks, gift card scams typically involve convincing individuals to purchase a gift card, and they pretend that the demand of these gift cards, on the back of them, they will take the information and reroute the monies to another criminal, right? The FBI has an alarm out and warns consumers to be very, very cautious when they purchase these gift cards. If the package looks like it's been tampered with, definitely report it to the merchant or right away and let them know that this package has been tampered. Folks, I tell you, and companies like CVS and Target and other retailers are now considering doing what? Locking up gift cards. I mean, we can't even go into a retailer now to purchase products like shampoo and soap without having to call an assistant over to unlock the glass cage where information is. And gift cards will now be a part of that as well to protect consumers' interest. Definitely, folks, stay tuned, stay alert, and stay #cyberwoke. We'll be back after these messages. Hi folks, this is Mac Jackson Jr. from Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm here to tell you today about Dr. Aki Akimi from Vegas Direct Primary Care. As healthcare costs are on the rise, Dr. Akimi takes the time to explain and recommends lifestyle changes to improve your health and your well-being. She is very attentive and knowledgeable, and she listens, folks, to what your needs are and help you get to the health care that you deserve. Dr. Kimi would suggest things like food is the best medicine. That's what she says. I want to give praises out to her and thank her for her support here with me as well as the Las Vegas community. Thank you, Dr. Kimi. Hi folks, Mac Jackson, Cybersecurity Awareness TV. Hey, I want to share something with you folks, and it's regarding my website. If you want to find out information regarding cybersecurity awareness for your business, go to my website at macjacksonjr.com/business-resources. That's right, folks, macjacksonjr.com/business-resources. This is where you'd find loads of information regarding cybersecurity tests, white papers I've done. There'll be demos, there are demos that is, on the site, and other information that you can gather to help you protect your family, your business from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century. Take a look at the website, folks. You'll also find there retailers and my trusted vendors that I have vetted and I've worked with for years. Definitely go to my website, folks, at macjacksonjr.com/business-resources. That's all we have for you this week, folks. I'm Mac Jackson Jr., Cybersecurity Awareness TV. Like I always say every week, folks, stay safe out there. #StayCyberwoke. See you next week.